What if one spin-off didn't just succeed, but actually outshine the show it came from? That's exactly what's happening with Sheriff Country, a series that's quietly pulling off something incredibly rare in television. Because while Fire Country built the foundation, Sheriff Country might be rewriting the entire blueprint. And once you see what it's doing differently, surprisingly, Sheriff Country surpasses Fire Country in a rare TV achievement. For the 2025 to 2026 TV season, CBS took another risk by broadening the world. 3 years after the Max Thieriot-led first responder procedural, Sheriff Country's events take place in a small village rather than a large city, giving it a more intimate feel while still adhering to the tried-and-true cop show structure on network TV. Sheriff Country is set in Edgewater County, the same region as its parent series, and stars Morena Baccarin as Mickey, Sharon's stepsister. Admittedly, you'll see why fans are beginning to argue that it's the superior program. It was risky to start a spinoff so early in Fire Country's existence. However, it demonstrated how much CBS believes in the flagship and how it may develop into broadcaster's entire universe. Sheriff Country's success now demonstrates that the gamble was worthwhile. Similar to Fire Country, the personal idea of Sheriff Country is more intricate. In addition to serving as a town sheriff, Mickey manages her complex relationship with her teenage daughter Sky and her former criminal father Wes. Character crossovers between the series have naturally occurred throughout the cycle, mostly to assist the spin-off establish itself as a part of the universe. It's interesting to note, though, that Sheriff Country has outperformed the mothership in the cycle's ratings thus far. Sheriff Country had over 4.9 million viewers every week, compared to 3.7 million for Fire Country Season 4, via TV series finale, too. Even though this is a huge disparity, the fact that parent shows often perform better than their offshoots makes it even more remarkable. Initiative series typically have a baked-in viewership large enough to justify an expansion after a few seasons. Spin-offs, on the other hand, must both provide something new and shape themselves within the established universe. In addition, it's important to remember that CBS had limited time for Sheriff Country's launch setup. Since its debut in Fire Country Season 2, Mickey has made multiple cameos. The rest of the story was developed in its own program. Thus, that was the entirety of the spin-off setup that when it made its debut in 2025. Nevertheless, many were captivated right away, so it's obvious that it was done well. A few factors contribute to Sheriff Country's success, such as its gripping story and intriguing cast of characters. However, it's also important to note that its premiere fell at what may have been Fire Country Season 4's most vulnerable period. The CBS first responder procedural began the year by bidding farewell to two significant characters who have been a part of the show since its debut. Stephanie Arcila's Gabriella and Billy Burke's Vincent. It was said that their departures were intended to upend Fire Country. Nevertheless, there were legitimate complaints about the action, such as the idea that writing them both out at once was excessive. For background, Gabriella decided she needed a new beginning somewhere else, and Vince perished during a fire rescue gone wrong in Season 3. Fire Country seems uncertain about what it wants to become going forward, while Sheriff Country develops its identity, a shift in perspective. At its core, Fire Country is about firefighters, the chaos, the danger, the emotional weight of battling unpredictable wildfires. It's intense, it's dramatic, and it's built around action. But Sheriff Country shifts the focus completely. Instead of chasing flames, it chases the people behind the chaos. Law enforcement takes center stage, bringing a different kind of tension, one that's slower, more psychological, and often more personal. Because fires can destroy a town, but people can destroy lives. And that shift in perspective gives Sheriff Country something Fire Country doesn't always have. Time to breathe, time to build, time to explore deeper stories. One of the biggest criticisms of Fire Country has always been its pacing. The show moves fast, sometimes too fast. Characters are thrown into intense situations constantly, leaving little room for deeper development. But Sheriff Country flips that completely. It slows things down. It allows characters to exist outside of emergencies, to struggle, to grow, to feel real. And that makes a huge difference, because when the stakes finally rise, they actually matter more. You're not just watching action. You're invested in people. Another major difference is tone. Fire Country thrives on spectacle. Massive fires, explosions, high-risk rescues. And while that's exciting, it can sometimes feel repetitive. Sheriff Country, on the other hand, leans into grounded storytelling. Smaller cases, personal conflicts, moral dilemmas. The kind of stories that don't need explosions to feel intense. And in many ways, that makes them even more powerful, because they feel real. So, has Sheriff Country really put Fire Country to shame? Not exactly, but it has done something arguably more impressive. It's proven that a spin-off doesn't have to follow the original to surpass it. And if it continues on this path, it might not just be the better show. It might become the standard. What do you think? Is Sheriff Country already better than Fire Country? Or is it too early to tell? Drop your thoughts below. And if you enjoy deep breakdowns like this, don't forget to subscribe to Screen Harbor, where we don't just watch stories. We uncover what makes them unforgettable.